I grew up in like a very old school traditional farm family. Like you grow up, you get married, you have kids, and that's kind of like your life. And then you just enjoy going to family functions and raising your children and all of those things. But kind of at a young age, I don't know, I just had this like desire and this need, thinking there's got to be something more. And from a young age, I was a little bit sexual and had like those thoughts early on. And so it was one of those things that it's like at a young age, at an underage age, I was going to the strip clubs where I grew up. And it was like the fun place to be. And I remember thinking like these women were just stunning and like, wow, the confidence. Cause I didn't have it. Had low self-esteem. I had all these insecurities. And I was just like mesmerized by their confidence to just be free and naked and all of those things. And so it kind of started there with that interest. So as soon as I moved out of Grand Prairie, where I grew up, and to Edmonton, the big city, my first thing was, I'm going to get a job at a strip club. I'm 18 years old. I'm going to go work at a strip club but go to university. So I was a single mom already at that point, and I was like, I was going to go to university, get a Bachelor of Science degree, and work with animals because that's my whole other side. Other than this crazy other version of me. You just stand there with like your boobs out, and guys will give you money and all these things. And I was this quiet, nerdy little girl from Grand Prairie and like super insecure and didn't think I was that beautiful and all of these things. And I was like, how can I do that? Right. But I went, and the guys were wonderful, and my friend was wonderful, and she eased me into it. And I was like, oh, I was like, okay. I was like, this is kind of fun. And then all of a sudden, when you leave, 4 hours of that with more money that I made in a week working, 50 hours with my kid in like night daycare, because I was in my early 20s trying to do it all. It just was one of those things where I'm like, okay, well, this is a numbers game and I'm a numbers person. And if I can make that much money in one night and I'm home, 5, 6 nights of the week with my kid, and now I can go to school, it just became one of those things where, like, business wise, I just was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this because that gives
Mm.
me everything else I need and it's not as stressful. So it just was one of those things that evolved from there. And I kept doing it and it grew. And like I was making six figures working, maximum 6 nights a month. And, I was taking care of my kid, and I bought a house, and I did all these things, and I lived this life, right? And it was great. But always in the back of my mind, and kind of from my dad, was this whole, you can't do this forever, right? And you have to eventually grow up. And I also still had that societal pressure of knowing and thinking what I was doing was wrong. And how am I going to meet a good man if I'm taking my clothes off for a living? Who's going to love me and who's going to accept that for what I'm doing because of how I was raised and because how, it was judged.